Hello, this is Brian Whitten and ET Art. Welcome back to the channel. A little bit different today. I'm just going to start by inserting some pictures for you so you can have a look at pictures that I've taken. These are all microscopic images taken off river rocks, and as I've already said many times in my videos that what we're seeing here is not a situation where we are having what we call a pareidolia effect. In other words, that we're seeing things and making things in our mind with them. That's not what's going on here. What we're seeing is very, very logically placed particles and designed and manufacture, which is why we're seeing what we're seeing. I have watched a video in probably about a month or two ago now where scientists have in actual fact examined river rocks under an electron microscope. I will also add that I have sent my findings to every state university in Australia, the Australian Geological Society, and I've also hit a couple of other universities offshore because I certainly wasn't getting any reply from the universities in Australia. But I have seen, like I said, a video on YouTube that did state that they had looked at the river rocks under an electron microscope and come to the conclusion that all of the particles on the surfaces were in actual fact manufactured, that they show logical placement of multifaceted particles, and that is how I am able to produce the images that you're seeing. It is hard to deny when you look at these images that you're not seeing the placement of absolutely logical placement of particles to create the image. The name of this upload was How Old is Earth? 200,000 years? I say that, and I don't just say willy-nilly that that is the case. We've learnt now from all of the things that are on my timeline that there is a solar cycle. It is the circled portion on this parchment. It's not a parchment, it's actually a recreation of a relief, a carving that's on a wall in a temple in Egypt. The full length of that cycle is 337,000 years. We've gone through that process. This is the motion of Earth and how it is moved between multiple rings of rotation. These multiple rings of rotation are shown us on these Droper plates. Here is one of them here that shows you the movement of the moon internally. So in other words, the moon is between Earth and Sun and moving in and out. This one here does not have the movement of the moon in and out. I would suggest the moon stays stationary in the location that it is. In other words, as big as you see that in front of, on the gold plate, the hole in the middle is in actual fact how far the moon is away from Earth, and the outside of the plate is in actual fact the sun. So in other words, it's quite a distance from Earth, far, far further than it is at this present point in time. We've spoken about that, and I don't want to go too much over those situations. I do, however, want to come back to that. Whilst we look at these images and understand the logical placement of these matter, whatever the matter be, whether it actually be a physical rock, an atom of rock or an atom of whatever, they are placed. They are telling a story, and that is how they have helped me immensely work out what it is that was going down. Even this one here, we see a pyramid, and this is just looking with the microscope light. When I turn the microscope light off, the very same portion of the rock is showing you this image here. We'll also show you this image here, and also show you this image here. I've also shown you many, many changes that have happened on the rocks in the time that I've actually worked on them. So this one here, we see logical placement. There's even what would appear to be a red dwarf star to one side. There's a man standing with one leg, and then yet we look at the image and the very same part of the rock, once I understood those messages, they all just disappeared, and I was left with what you see now, a blank slate. I wanted to come back here today because of this picture here. I want you to look at what you're seeing. I discussed with you the meaning of this picture in another video, if you look at it, it looks like a chip in a rock with a lot of fibre optic cables hanging out of it. That's what it looks like. And I'm a computer engineer, so these things to me, and I've seen, you know, the fibre optics that are obviously in these rocks, create, well, say this one here. This is one of these really bright spots. When you get it perfectly focused, that is what it looks like. I actually believe that is in actual fact a letter. It's actually Q/. It's in hex, where a dot of light is 1 and a 0 where no light is. It's a 0. If you decode the strip, it actually says Q/. If we look and understand that these particles are put there to tell a message, understand that when we look at this chip and understand what it's doing, when I turn the light off on the microscope on this particular portion of the rock, this is the image that I obtained. And you can note on the left side, although it's a little difficult to see, it's got the letters XE. And I've gone through the process of explaining to you that I believe we were getting told in this because of the man you see on the right side. You can see his eyes, you do not see his face, because I believe that what they're trying to tell us there is he is a doctor and he's wearing a mask. And what we're talking about here is Xe being the element Xenon being used in an automated medical process. We use Xenon these days in our medical diagnosis. If that was the case, what we are being told, and like I said, I have covered it, so I won't spend too long there, is that the problem with us when we got to this galaxy from another galaxy, that it was the second star in the second planet on the second galaxy. So we've left our original galaxy, we've got here, we've gone to our second star, and we've drawn plasma from a single star system, or we've decided to manipulate that star. These people are extremely smart people, right? And I believe the other thing we're also being told is that when we arrived at this galaxy, humans look like they do now. And this is over 7 million years ago. You will find videos on my channel here that say 80, but I did correct that in a most recent video and tell you why I believed it was longer. So somewhere over 7 million years ago, which is how long we got here, how long ago we got here, we look like we do now. Those that have stemmed from us since look vastly different. That is this situation here. The other thing that I really want you, and the main purpose for this video today, was when we look at this picture and understand that we're being told that Xenon, the element itself, was already not behaving the way they were used to. That the element itself, now whether this was because they draw the plasma from a single star, or whether they drew the plasma and the particles within this galaxy, I don't think so. I think it's more the fact that they chose to manipulate a star very much the way it is right this very minute, and they created this problem. I'm not saying the problem is created what we're doing here. I'm saying that the cycle of Earth with the tilted axis and such things that we're doing now, going around anti-clockwise around the sun and spinning anti-clockwise on the axis, in actual fact what doesn't cause a problem, but it certainly brings it forward so that we can identify those of us that fail in this cycle. What I would like you to understand is that we're actually getting told here that Xenon, when it was moved away to the second planet, so where Mars is, which is why we see a remnants of a civilization on Mars, it's because that's what happened. When they went to the second planet and created what they needed, they've drawn Xenon, and the element itself, this subatomic structure of the element, changed in its motion away or movement away from these fields. These fields reduce in strength the further they go from the sun. And you'll note that I've said to you about this problem being a change in the subatomic structure of Xenon. Whether that fused our first and second chromosome, there are people that think it happened naturally. There are people that think that it was designed that way? I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure we'll find that out when the people from other stars get here to do their bit with straightening the axis and all such things. But what I think we are being told here is that if the structure of that particle is going to degrade the further it moves away from the star that created it, why would it be the only particle? I'll bring you back to these two images. This is one that had a 4 in Roman numerals. I've shown you this before. It changed from a 4 to this, which is a 17 in decimal. And I've asked myself, what does that mean? You know, I think that maybe we're possibly looking at the number of elements, like number 4 and number 17 on the periodic table. That could be what they're trying to tell us there. Now, number 4 on the periodical table is beryllium, and number 17 is chlorine. So whether or not that's got anything to do with, you know, the makeup of the metal that they use in a UFO, I have no idea. But one of the things I wanted to say to you is that if this degradation is happening over a particular particle, why wouldn't it happen over the very particles you use to date the Earth? If the Earth, when it is pushed out beyond Mars, is on the very last ring of rotation, it is beyond the fields, these anti-clockwise fields that's going to pull the axis of Earth up straight and do all such things, why would we perceive that Xenon is the only element that's being affected here? We've got no way of checking. The only real way of doing so is you would have to age something here using the same process, push it out so that it lies beyond these fields, which is about 40 million miles beyond Mars, leave it there for, I don't know, 5, 10 years, and bring it back and see if it ages the same, whether the degradation of the actual element itself is in actual fact showing us it's far older than what it was when we pushed it out there. That would be the only way to check it, but I certainly would think that what we're being told here, it would be absolutely stupid to think, if we're being told one element and its subatomic structure can vary because of its distance away from the star that created it, it may be the case. I want you to have a look at this crop circle. I believe that this was actually part of where I originally knew about a binary star system, and how we evolved in a binary star system. That's the situation here. That's why the whole development here, it's odd that we see this build back better, because we're seeing 222, you know, the second galaxy, the second star, the second planet. This is the reality of life here. We are populating this galaxy in this cycle of Earth, and this is what the Queen of England, the royals, were supposed to teach us. They have not. They have kept it quiet, and their behaviour has been absolutely abhorrent. When you hear of all the things, we are going to be extremely let down. I know if you looked over my last few videos, you would have found that there is in actual fact numbers told us how many people are going to be taken away. It's 876.9 million. I'll be honest with you, I believe that. If it was me and I was making the decision on how and when to do this, I would obviously give people the time to tell the truth, in which case we haven't had any. All we've had is multiple nuclear strikes on all of us. They tried to kill as many of us as they could, so there was nobody here to move on to these other worlds. That was the way the elite do not lose gracefully. So I would expect that what we're seeing here, if we look back at the parchment that I've shown you, it is conceivable that if in actual fact they are smart enough to build a planet, well, then our planet would be built at the time the solar cycle started. They go to a new star, they build a new planet, and it goes through this cycle, getting pushed out beyond Mars and back, and obviously not Mars if it's going to be another solar system. They are particularly smart people. If I show you this inserted image here, is once again something that has been seen happen at the Sun and captured by NASA quite a few times, and it is the ability of whoever it is that's doing it to draw plasma from the sun. So like I said, I expect what are the lessons we're getting here is that the Earth itself and the way in which we date everything on it is in actual fact wrong. It's not wrong because you ladies and gentlemen don't know what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing far better than I can assure you. I'm merely stating to you that if they're telling us that Xenon itself caused the problem and the mutation in genome that allowed people to have some mental concept that killing children and eating babies and creating weapons of mass destruction that can kill millions and millions of people, and think that that somehow they find justification in all of that, that is, that's the biggest mental health problem you could probably ever have. But that is what this cycle is. This cycle is to pull those people, not just pull those people out, but to get the good people out of the cycle, the ones that don't think that way. They're required, we move on here. This is populating star after star after star and ensuring that at the end of these cycles, when a binary system is in actual fact run out the end of the star sequence that I've shown you, that when that actually happens and we leave as a binary star system with all our people back in a binary system, we are free of this behavior. It just doesn't exist. That it's filtered out through the process of Earth around Sun and however many other planets and stars are involved in the process. So I certainly, like I said, don't mean to be disrespectful for all of the people that go about the expertise of aging things. It is certainly something that requires rather a large amount of skills. Certainly I don't have them, but I would certainly believe the message reads that if that be the case, that any particle, once it's beyond there, has an issue, that you might find that they degrade extremely quickly, and it may very well be that our Earth here is only a couple of 100,000 years old, because that's as long as the solar cycle is. If the solar cycle starts here, so we've only done 4 lots of 44,000 years, so we're under a couple of 100,000 years old. And if the planet itself was created by the drawing of plasma from the star when we first got to this star, will that be the case? The understanding that you find dinosaurs on Earth that are stemming back from, say, 600 or 700 million years, that's possibly a message, because in reality, when we look at this inserted picture here, I won't go through the explanation again, but I did discuss this in part 3 of the end. It is without doubt that they are telling us from the time they first domesticated another animal to the time they created the device that was crashed at Roswell, that it was actually 600 million years. The device at Roswell was not an interstellar device nor an intergalactic device. It was a interplanetary device used on the our solar system and galaxy of origin. It was the first mass-produced UFO that was used to traverse between the planets in our original system, in our original galaxy. So it may be why we are allowing, or we're seeing that reference of 600 million years, because in actual fact that's the situation. They say it's about 660 million years, and since that point in time to go through the advancement from going interplanetary to interstellar and then galactic was another, well, I'm seeing about 13 million years, and another 7 since we've been in this galaxy. So I think the one thing I wanted to just mention in today's video that was important was more the fact of stability of elements, how they behave when they're further from a star. We are being told that it is not the case that they all remain stable. It would certainly appear to be that the message here is that the further they are from a star, the more unstable they become. It may not be all of the elements, but I certainly am seeing that is the case, and it may be, like I said, I would suggest that it is possible that they did create, as I said, this behaviour. Took 300 years to manifest itself. We're told that, in my opinion, in the Serapeum, in the time when the axis of Earth is first tilted, it stops at about 8 degrees, and it takes 300 years for it to get to 24 degrees. They leave it with the mass of Earth and the the misbalance of the globe because of the way the land masses are placed, to allow it to go out on its own. The moving equinox is all recorded with the eastern and western Mastaba fields. I'll just do a couple of inserts there just to show you how that's done. The other thing that was important to know is that when Earth is laid down flat, which it does, it's laid over on its side in its transition and movement between the inner and outer rings. It's always laid flat. When that is the case, and Earth is pushed out beyond Mars, they push it out and it still goes around the Sun, but what happens is that it's on an expanding plane of rotation. So when it expands out, it goes through all these fields, all 12 of them. Well, it doesn't go through 12, it goes through the rest, which is approximately 6 more. So it gets out beyond Mars, but it doesn't keep going, it actually just stops once it gets beyond these fields. And if you look at this, the Dendrolites in Egypt, see them lifting up the globe? That is in actual fact our globe. They're saying to you, and you see one in one direction and one in the other, because it doesn't matter which direction Earth is spinning or moving around the Sun, it always has to be lifted up. Once it gets out there, it does not return to standing up naturally. So that's what that's all about. One last matter, that if we perceive the evolution of each and every race of individuals, if we were in actual fact pure blood, whether you be a pure blood African, a pure blood Chinese, or a more Caucasian type person from England, if we perceive having evolved to look the same, well, that will be incorrect. Each and every one of us as races of beings have in actual fact evolved to look very much individual as we are on this planet before we started traversing the lands we were placed back upon. So I think I'll finish up there today, and we will get confirmation of everything that I've put in this video and all the other things on my YouTube channel. That's all from Brian Whitten and ET Art. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.